Yo, what up everyone? Amir here on Rapping and Snacking, getting into another episode of Hot Takes provided by y'all. The first episode got a decent response on Instagram and YouTube, and a lot of people chimed in and dropped some more hot takes, so appreciate it. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click an ad. It's a way to support me without spending any money, but it does get me some money, so I appreciate y'all. Anyways, got a few more hot takes to go through, and these came from an Instagram poll that I did like a couple weeks back, so I'm still using these ones from that poll, so make sure to hit me up on Instagram at Rapping and Snacking and TikTok Rapping and Snacking. So first hot take that I'm going to get into, and this one is for sure a hot one, possibly one of the hottest ones. This is definitely one of the hottest ones I've seen, and this is from Street Tacos 310. He says, you can count Jay-Z's good songs on one hand. So, Street Tacos, this guy's crazy. I've actually met him before at a show. I think it was an Apathy show, maybe Apathy and self-titled show. Cool guy, so shout out to him. I so 100% disagree with this take. This is an extremely hot take. Now when you talk about hot takes, this is what a hot take is, for real, for real. So he's basically saying that Jay-Z only has 5 good songs maximum. That's what he's saying. On one hand, he has 5 good songs. No way. I mean, Jay-Z, he's got albums with 5 great songs, let alone 5 good songs, in my opinion. I mean, just Reasonable Doubt alone, you can get Feelin' It, you can get The Evils, you can get songs like that, and then there's more. You can go 22 Twos, you can go, did I say Dead Presidents? Dead Presidents 2, you can do that. You can go to like Where I'm From Volume 1, you can do that. You can do the Dynasty intro, you can go there. You can even go to his new releases, like let's just do a slightly more recent one, with American Gangster, which is in the mid-2000s. You can do Pray from there. I mean, there's so many. 444 has a bunch of good songs, like Smile. So it just goes on and on and on. So I don't know what Street Tacos is talking about here. What's going on, my guy? That's crazy. What do y'all think about that? Because I've actually seen a lot of people take slights at Jay-Z in this Instagram hot take poll or questionnaire that I dropped. That's crazy to me. I think Jay-Z is so great. You know, maybe some people don't like his approach, maybe some people don't like his voice, that's another thing, but to say he doesn't have good songs, that's crazy, especially since he's been dropping music for 30 years now, if you're going to go even before his solo discography. But with that being said, everyone's got their own opinions. I just strongly disagree with that one. Next up, we got someone named OG's Hip Hop. Kurupt is a top 10 MC of all time. So, you know what? Okay. Kurupt is so good. And he is fantastically, amazingly, incredible, whatever superlative you want to throw out there, Kurupt is that. I feel like he's one of those rappers that and not only do I feel, I know this to be a fact, because I've heard it from other people who I really trust in hip-hop, but Kurupt is one of those people who he can freestyle for a long period of time. And when I say freestyle, I don't even mean how a lot of people, they do their freestyles where it's kind of, you know, it's already memorized in their head and they're just going over like any type of beat and that's their freestyle. No, Kurupt can legitimately go in and just rap off of his head and what he sees and like do it with his eyes closed, do it like just him rapping, feeling the vibe. He's that kind of guy, and he's done it for 30 minutes, he's done it for 40 minutes, he's gone on. And to be honest with you, and I don't have a top 10, so I know some people may ask me, what's your top 10 artists list? Honestly, man, I feel like the more and more you listen to music, the more you realize it's impossible to make a type of list like that because there's so many people who can come in, go out, come in, go out. I feel like if you have a top 10 list, you should stick by that list, which is why I will not give you guys a top 10 list. With that being said, if I did have a top 10 list, I can't see Kurupt being in it, but he's so good that it pains me to not put him in there. But to people like OG's Hip Hop, I salute you for being able to put Kurupt in your top 10 because I think he does deserve more flowers and he's incredible and he's been doing it for a long time. He's been doing it for 30 years also. We're in 2022. A lot of people heard him on The Chronic. He's been doing it for over 30 years. Big shout out to Kurupt. Nice take there. It's kind of a hot take. I don't see Kurupt in any really top 10s, and that actually is, now that I'm thinking about it, Eminem shouted him out Until I Collapse, and that was the first time I've ever heard Kurupt on a list ever, because Eminem shouts him out on one of his biggest songs, Till I Collapse, a classic gym pumping song, whatever, but he shouts out Kurupt on that. So, hey, shout out to Eminem. He's got a great taste in hip-hop. Next up, we're going to get to this guy named Adam0711. He says Eazy-E was just as good without Cube and Dre. Now this, I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'm going to disagree with it anyways. I disagree with that because when Eazy-E was with Dre and with Cube, he was in NWA. He released Easy Does It. So if we're just going on an NWA basis with Straight Outta Compton, you can also count NWA and Posse. But you got NWA and the Posse, Straight Outta Compton, and you got Brothers for Life, and you got 100 Miles of Running EP, and then you got Easy Does It. Now, if you just count those albums, and then you put those up against like 5150, Home for the Sick, It's On, Dr. Dre, 187, Killa, and Straight Off the Streets, Motherfucking Compton, come on, bro. The first albums that I said with Dre and Cube, or even because Cube obviously left after Straight Outta Compton, but those albums that I mentioned up front versus the albums that I mentioned after with 5150 and It's On and Straight Off the Streets, no way, no comparison. I mean, no. There's just no way. There's no way I can agree with that. But with that being said, Eazy did release dope music after Dre and Cube were no longer part of his discography. That I agree with. But to say that it's better, come on, man. You can't put Eazy Does It alone will beat anything that he dropped. Like that verse, 5150 beats it. That verse, It's On, beats it. That verse, Straight Up Streets Motherfucking Compton, beats it. And then you add Straight Outta Compton and Brothers for Life and 100 Miles and Running. To me, it's levels, man. It's this versus this. Not to say it's bad. It's just not as good. My opinion, respect Adam. Next up, we're going to go with Michael Paul Castillo. He says Wu-Tang Forever is not the best Wu album. I don't think this is a hot take. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think most people think Wu-Tang Forever is the best Wu-Tang album. So with that being said, I discount this as being a hot take. I think most people believe that Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers is their best album, and I think a lot of people really enjoy Wu-Tang Forever, and a lot of people do think that's their best album too, but I would say most people prefer their debut over their second. With that being said, those are really the two albums that I hear people saying are the best from Wu-Tang. It's that one, it's the debut or the second one. I don't hear anyone saying Iron Flag is better. I don't hear anyone saying A Diagram is better. I don't hear anyone saying the W is better or whatever. So, yeah, I don't think that's a hot take, but I do agree with you that Wu-Tang Forever is not the best Wu-Tang album. Next up, we got one from Lenore Vicente. He says, or she, I'm not sure, says Freddie Gibbs is better than Tupac. So, I don't think that's a fair take. And let me break down why I think that is not a fair take. The reason why it's not a fair take is because if I were to tell you that Freddie Gibbs is rapping from the mid-2000s, you probably wouldn't be able to name more than 5, if any, Freddie Gibbs songs from the mid-2000s or even late 2000s. You'd probably only be able to list his music from the 2010s and on, and even then a lot of people would probably only be able to start with Pinata. A lot of people, I'm not saying all people, but a lot of people. And I say that because a lot of people don't know that Freddie Gibbs is rapping in the 2000s era. Tupac, in totality, rapped maybe 6 to 7 years. He started in the late 80s and he died in 96. So he had, let's just call it 7 years. So if you put Tupac's first 7 years versus Freddie Gibbs' first 7 years, well, like I said, a lot of people didn't know Freddie Gibbs making music. That doesn't mean it's bad, and it doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that it took him a while to get big. Tupac became a star and took over a lot of... He sold so much music. He went platinum, he went gold, etc., etc., etc. So to put that's already unfair. Second off, I mean, Tupac, he has so much music that's still in the vaults that we haven't heard. He has music that was released posthumously that we have heard, that not all of it had his creative input in it, obviously. So that's just an unfair take. If you want to put the first 7 years of Tupac, or all 7 years of Tupac versus the first 7 years of Freddie Gibbs, it's a no contest. Tupac smoked him. And Freddie Gibbs, I think, is one of the best rappers in the game right now. Possibly, actually, my favorite rapper right now. And I think particularly in the 2010s and onward, he has been releasing so much heat. So, like I said, it's just not a fair comparison. If you want to name some amazing Freddie Gibbs albums that can hold up to some Tupac albums, sure, that's fair. But he's had so much more wiggle room, so much more time to learn and to sharpen his MC skills and to work with more people. It's just unfair. So I'm going to disagree with that take. It's not a fair playing field. Next up, we're going to go with P. Mean Key. I definitely butchered that. This dude said hip-hop made in the 70s, 80s, 90s is still being praised as classic. New shit be dead in a few years. No, I disagree with that. I think that one reason why this take is probably why a lot of people will probably agree with it is because what we see a lot these days is a lot of people, myself included, post like anniversary posts. And a lot of these anniversary posts will show like, oh, let's just say this, like, 30 years for The Chronic, 25 years for Life After Death, 31 years for Death Certificate. It'll do stuff like that. And then you'd be like, damn, this album dropped 30 years, 20 years, 25 years ago, and it's a classic. Oh, it had so many memories. Oh, it's still in rotation. And you don't really get those same anniversary posts or things that posted 5 years ago, things that released 10 years ago. Same thing doesn't really happen in that regard, but come on, man. Like, you can't go ahead and tell me that Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar is not one of the great albums. You can't tell me that Life is Good by Nas is not a great album, because it is incredible. Now, the word classic gets thrown around so often, and I don't like that per se. I use classic a lot. I try and limit it to things that I truly believe are classic, but then again, I feel like a lot of people have different definitions for what that term means. But trust me, there's so much good music still being made today. Maybe some years in the 2000s are not as good as some years in the 90s, but let's be real. There's so much great music still being made today, and we'll have to see that in 20 years from today, in 30 years from today, because I know us, when we're older and we're in our 40s and 50s, I know a lot of people, probably not me, because I feel like I'm a little more open-minded than some people, just saying, not trying to brag, I'm just keeping it as real as I can. I feel like a lot of people who were born in the 2000s, when it's in the 2050s, they're probably going to say, oh man, the music when we were younger was the shit, and that music now sucks. It's going to be the same thing. You're going to sound just like your parents, and sound just like these people. I disagree with that. I respect the take. I disagree with that. Next up, we're going to get to K1 Amur. He or she says, Onyx is the most underrated hip-hop group of all time. Now, no, I disagree with that. And I don't know what the most underrated hip-hop group of all time is, so don't ask me. All I'm going to say is Onyx is not. Onyx, I feel like the reason maybe why this person said that is because usually when you talk about like groups from the 90s, a lot of people won't talk about Onyx as much as they'll talk about a Tribe Called Quest or Wu-Tang Clan or Mobb Deep. These, East Coast golden age hip-hop groups, and I put that in quotations since I dislike the term golden age. But that's probably why this person's saying that. But keep in mind, like, Onyx went platinum with their first album. Onyx went gold with their second album. Onyx went gold with their third album. And on their second album, they were forever immortalized with Last Days being in the 8 Mile movie. They rapped over that beat. That's a big thing to have that. And there are definitely groups that deserve more praise that aren't as recognized as Onyx, and I don't want to just say like, oh, because they went platinum and gold, that's why they're underrated, because I do think that sometimes they don't get mentioned, and they are an awesome group that had their own unique style and also their own image. They had the bald heads, they brought the guns to shows, they shot up the Source Awards once. Like, they were rugged, they were gritty for sure, no doubt about it. But some other groups that I think are more underrated, I just go like 8 Ball and MJG off the top of my head. Looking at the wall here, I honestly think EPMD needs to be brought up a little more. I'm not saying they're underrated, but I think they need to be brought up a little more. Dub C and the Mad Circle is stupid underrated. What else we got here? Compton's Most Wanted is underrated. I mean, we can go on and on and on. For some reason, people don't mention Boogie Down Productions. They only mention KRS-One, but whatever, that's interesting. But it goes on. Ghetto Boys, I think, need more just due. So, I don't know. Like I said, underrated, it's kind of like one of those tricky terms. I can see that point. I don't think they're the most underrated group, however. And let's just take it off with one more. We have Davio95 saying Kendrick is good but overhyped. You know what? That probably is a hot take, because whenever you mention who's a good rapper in the 2020, or not really 2020s because he hadn't dropped anything in a while, but who's a good rapper right now, I feel like everyone says Cole, Kendrick, and Drake. That's always what I hear every time. If not that, then I'll hear Cole and Kendrick. So, yes, Kendrick Lamar is good. Yes, he's awesome. I do agree that he's overhyped. I do agree. It is somewhat of a hot take, but I do agree with Davo95. I think Kendrick is good, but he's not the best thing since sliced bread. His flow or his voice can sometimes get a little weird. His concepts can sometimes be a little try-hard, I'd say, sometimes. But I think he does take a risk, and in a lot of instances it works. In some instances it doesn't, or doesn't provide as good of replay value. That being said, Kendrick is still one of the premier artists of the 2010s, in my opinion. He needs to release some more music. I think he will work on something and will drop something probably by surprise. He'll probably surprise us all, because I feel like a lot of people do that these days. But he's a dope artist, and I liked his work even on the Black Panther soundtrack, where he curated that, so that was awesome. That being said, Kendrick is dope, but yes, he is overhyped. So those are the hot takes that I decided to take on this time. I did 8 of them. So what do y'all think of my stance on these? What do you think of the people who provided these? If y'all want to submit hot takes, just follow me on Instagram. I'll do another poll. Maybe I'll do one on YouTube too, because that's how I'm going to capture my screenshot them, and I will just do a freestyle video like I did today. So follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and click an ad if you haven't. I like that too. Just click an ad for me. But I appreciate y'all as always. I'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.